What I'm actually going to have a chat about today is looking at what ESIS and Comtec have been doing over the last few years. First of all, I'm going to take a few minutes just to talk about the two businesses, then a little bit around myself and why should I be standing up here, a little bit around the products and how we see those products making a difference, and then we should then finish off. There's a little video. There's a 3-minute version. There's a 30-second one. So I've just gone for the 30-second one because that'll be plenty at the end. Some of you will know Comtec. Some of you won't know Comtec. I actually co-founded Comtec 22 years ago, a long time ago. Comtec very much around, at the starting, aggregating data, and then how do we improve distribution. My background is from a travel business. My father was a tour operator, and we had some retail travel agencies. We were also quite early on into the .com world. I owned holiday.co.uk, flight.co.uk, and travel.co.uk. Never made any money. Well, we sold two of them. Never made any money out of the third. But there's been good to own. Still own travel.co.uk. So Comtec came around, and basically we have about 100 different brands on the platform. And those brands include all the TUI specialist brands, so we have about 28, so Hayes & Jarvis, Italia, Meon, Sovereign. We also power the Thomas Cook specialist businesses and some of the Donata businesses, for example, Gold Medal and netflights.com, which is one of their high-end transaction sites. So that's Comtec, reservation platform, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I mentioned I co-founded the business 22 years ago. I actually sold the business in 2008, and I fell out with the guys who bought it and left in 2010 and started a business called ESIS. ESIS actually doesn't translate very well because of what ISIS kicked off with, but so in the US it's been a slight challenge, so we might have to rebrand this one. So ESIS started about 4 or 5 years ago. And I co-founded this business with a guy that I knew very well, who was very much into machine learning, artificial intelligence, and actually working in Thomas Cook at the OTA. While he was at Thomas Cook, he saw that there was a huge amount of data inside that business that wasn't getting used. And that was the time when Manny had raised a bond of, I think, about 150 million to take on Expedia, which was never going to happen, but the principle was a good one. And they had an army of contractors working out of Brettenham House on the Strand. So basically, ESIS was formed in order to look at data that we have inside our industry and how can we apply machine learning algorithms to that data to start predicting events. So ultimately, when someone's going to book. My picture's about 10 years old, I think, but it's fine. Actually, during that time, I also sort of formed a number of other businesses. So we have about 6 businesses in the portfolio. So I still have a tour operator. I chair a tour operator. We take quite a number of kids away to sporting destinations around the world. We had a technology business in the recruitment space, so we aggregated every job in the UK and then sold that data to recruitment agencies and to other job boards. We just sold that to a San Fran VC about 6 months ago. And I've got a payment platform as well called Payzella. There's a number, so basically, everything that I do is travel or technology. That's all that I know. So, TravelLink, what does TravelLink do? TravelLink, dynamic packaging, tours, groups, tailor-made. It's a tour operator reservation platform. Over the last couple of years, well, I didn't own the business. A lot of refactoring went into it. So, from a platform perspective, it's a good platform. But a tour operator platform is a tour operator reservation platform. I think there are some that are better than others, but on that side of things, actually, they just deliver a service. Where we have to change, and what has to change, is how that data is used inside those platforms. And for example, why do we give a huge result setback when we're doing dynamic packaging, of which 99.9% of it won't actually be relevant to that client? It's not what they want. So what we do is clever personalization to personalize it when we've made a mistake, instead of sorting out the core issue, which is actually give the right data back to the client during that buying experience. So that's where we see the travel sector going. And how do we get there? what tools can we use, and what things can we learn from what's going on in the rest of the world. You know, we've all seen how sites like Booking.com have just accelerated. And it's not just because of the easy cancellation policy and the way they contract. It's because that site is actually really, really good at what it does. You know, they've teamed up with one of the universities, one of the best universities in machine learning, and have a whole division of machine learning experts that are just looking at all the data that that site produces all of the time, and how that they can then make that site more relevant to the consumer that wants to buy. And that's, you know, is that easy? No. But actually, can it be done? Absolutely. You know, many people don't realize that those machine learning algorithms that everybody's now talking about as, you know, the Holy Grail have been around for many, many years. It's just the application into our industry that hasn't been around, and that's what we need to bring together. So, from a Comtec ESIS perspective, you can see where we're trying to get to, which is, you know, we do personalize today. So, one of our clients, for example, and we'll show you some examples in a minute or two. We aggregate 27 different data sources inside their business in order to get that view of the client. So what does that client look like inside their business, and how does clients look in your businesses? You know, and they probably look quite different, because CRM isn't just about someone's made a reservation and someone's inquired. CRM needs to list every single thing, every single touch point that that client has ever made with your businesses, whether they've searched, whether they've looked at a blog, whether they've read a review, whether they've searched some rich content. Whatever they have done will give the machine learning algorithms a better chance of predicting. We're just having a little chat outside, and I think the Amadeus lady this morning was saying about how things are going to start to preempt, and how things are going to start to actually go the other way around, where they start to you know, be on the front foot rather than be on the back foot. And for one of our clients, 90-odd% of people that come to their website don't convert. But out of the people that don't convert, a large percentage go off and convert somewhere else. Just imagine if we could predict with a high level of accuracy who those people are, so that actually they could start putting adverts around if they're going to go off to a competitor cruise site, so they're going to book direct with Cunard or Royal Caribbean or somewhere else, and they get a referral commission rather than getting zero commission. And if we could predict with a level of accuracy, that would be a game changer. And some of that stuff is being tried and tested today, so it's not as futuristic as we may think. The three challenges that we have as tour operators: cost of customers acquisition, actually engaging with customers in the way that they want to be engaged with on their own terms, and differentiated content. Because all of those three challenges are the difference between a successful business, a hugely successful business, and a massively successful business. And I'm not saying they're all easy, but these are all the challenges that we have to look at. So let's give an example on challenge number one. Challenge number one is all about, actually, can we just pay, if we just pay more to Google, it's a very competitive market, it's really expensive, and actually, at some point, is a law of diminishing returns. But if we actually look at how we could use the data within inside an organization, another client of ours actually would normally spend more with Google when they're quiet, but instead they used our system to actually start outward bound calling from their home workers, instead of actually spending more on attracting new leads. So they were mining the data they had. And they actually converted, not our stats, their stats, 50% better than their inbound calls. So that was a really nice way of actually spending less money with a 50% higher conversion rate, because they actually mined the data that they had. Engage with the customers on their own terms. We all know how important it is. You've probably listened about devices and you know, what are the changes and everything that's happening. We have to. Just having a website or having a mobile app or having, you know, isn't the answer any longer. It's about how do we engage, and at what times do we engage? Because actually, there's a huge difference in sending you know, what's the point of sending an email blast overnight so that it's there with 100 other emails first thing in the morning? Can we actually predict when there will be a greater conversion of that email, and what time would be best for that individual segment of clientele to receive those, depending on the demographic and everything else that builds into the algorithms. Number three would be differentiated content. And this isn't just about product. This isn't, you know, we can see the success that companies like TUI have had with their differentiated product over some of their competitors. This isn't just about the product. This is about, why is a website a website? Because actually, yes, we can personalize around the periphery, but why don't we actually, why doesn't that website absolutely change depending on the audience? So if I'm 2 adults and two kids and you put the child ages in, why isn't that website coming back absolutely tailored to the imagery, to the content, to the reviews, to everything else that's actually very relevant to me, not relevant to the general, you know, the general public? So all of that sort of thing is starting to come in a massive way now. So a website actually is just a template, which will have hundreds of templates, which will then be driven by the content that's personalized to go into it. I've spoken about this. I've got a couple of minutes left, and basically, this is all about the single version of the truth. Data is everything to us. Data is the most important, not just the data in the res system, but the overall data, and that's the most important element. Getting that data into all the, and capturing the event, we can actually get that single version of the truth. And people are going to say, well, actually, if people are searching a website, how do you know who that person is, what you can do with them? You can only do something with it when you know who they are, obviously, and you get that login. But we can go back all the way through the data trail as long as the cookie stays there, so that we can actually then, when they're all anonymous, once we know who that client is, we can make them anonymous and pull that together. So whatever they've done prior to telling us who they were, we can link back to as long as that cookie is still active, which is quite interesting, seeing all those patterns that existed before they would give you any information. So this is our brain in the middle. They're the machine learning algorithms. On this side are the inputs, so the availability, user activity, prices, rich content, all different inputs. Then we've got sort of 2 sets of clients at this point that want to use that data. We've got the clients in the blue, which could be the product director wants to know what stock should I have had to sell? What price could I have sold that stock for? Then they've got the consumer on the straight B to the B2C, and then you've got the B2B around the home workers. So actually, our systems are now starting to actually present call center operatives with recommendations before they actually answer the phone to the client, if we can link the phone number back to the user activity, so that it takes all the searching out of the mix. At the top there, personalization around hot leads, yield management, and inventory analysis. So again, looking at some of that, this is one of our screens that we would have. This would actually look at that user and actually put them in the funnel to where actually we think they are. This person's in the buy-in, these are the product recommendations we would send them, and this is general information about that client. So we can actually then drive something like this hot leads list, which actually says that top client up there looks 100% like clients that were right in that purchase path that are going to convert. We have 3 contacts for that client. We can either email them, we can send them a normal post. I don't know, some of our clients do that still. And actually we've got their telephone number, so we could actually outbound call them. So that's, and those recommendations that have been given there is what we think, or the system thinks, is actually going to be what that customer would want to buy. And that would obviously be on the personalized email for them. Personalized communications is absolutely where we see the world going. But as I mentioned at the start, it's a solution to a problem that we shouldn't actually allow to happen. When the systems get really, really clever, we will actually sort the data out before we present it and then have to personalize it. Of course, 30-second video, and thank you very much. I hope you found it of interest.
Introducing Holistic by ESIS, the intelligent travel, e-commerce and CRM solution, and TravelLink by Comtec, the leading leisure travel reservations platform. Together, ESIS and Comtec are changing the way you will sell and distribute travel forever, enabling a personalized client experience and increasing conversion. This future technology is available now. Comtec and ESIS are open for business and eager to talk to you about the next generation of travel technology.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.